There's two things that you want to be right now. The first one is patient, and the second one is observant. So, suffice it to say, there's a lot going on, right? There's always a lot going on. And the energy right now, specifically, as I am recording this on Thursday, February 24th, it is dynamic. Okay. February is quite arguably the most dynamic month of 2026. And we're in the midst of eclipse season. There's been a major astrological event, plus we're about to enter into one of our favorite times, which is Mercury retrograde. So suffice it to say, it's a lot. And you may be feeling lost. You may be curious as to how this is going to play out. You may be feeling a whole bunch of things, given the fact that it seems like the world is on fire right now. Okay. And so in this video, I'm just going to be breaking down generally what the energy feels like right now and how best to work with it. All right. So if you want to know more, if you're curious, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. So if you're new around here, my name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. All right. So first of all, I want to say this. If you've been rocking with me for a while, thank you. I sincerely appreciate you. I hope that you found value and you've been able to learn some things when, checking out my videos and whatnot. Now, things over here are changing a little bit, and it's not a dramatic change. It's just a change in how I've come to understand astrology and how I use astrology in my daily life. So, if you know me, if you've been here for a while, you know that I used to do live weekly astro forecasts. I used to do monthly astro forecasts. And, when there are major transits, I would do a video on that. And that's not necessarily going away, it's just morphing. And the reason for that is because I've come to understand and even reflect on how I learned astrology and how I implemented it into my life to make sense. And forecasts are great. They can tell you and sort of help you anticipate what's happening. But the way that I really understood astrology and learned it when I lived it. So rather than forecasting, it's more about tracking. So rather than tell you what's going to happen, I'd rather tell you what is happening right now and how it works for you. Subtle change, but an important change nonetheless. And so you're not really going to see forecasts on this channel going forward, but I will break down the energy when necessary. And now is one of those necessary times. All right. So like I said before, today is Tuesday, February 24th. I think I said Thursday before, but it's Tuesday, February 24th. We just got out of the solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th, and we are about to enter the lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd. So we are in what I like to call the eclipse hallway. We've gotten through one, there's another one coming up, and the energy is turbulent, slightly exciting. There's a lot going on, but that's not all that there is going on. So a couple of days ago on February 20th, Saturn and Neptune were conjunct in Aries at 0 degrees, which is a whole big deal. This kind of transit hasn't happened for many decades, and it signifies a very major turning point and inflection point, not only in society, but definitely in our own lives. All right. And then to add either insult to injury or the cherry on the Sunday, depending on how you want to look at it, we've got Mercury retrograde coming up on February 26th. So there's all of this cosmic activity. So what does it mean? More importantly, what does it feel like? So at this point, I want to invite you to pause this for a second. And I want you to just reflect on not even just how you're feeling right now, but what has the last 2 weeks or so been feeling like for you? What has happened? How have you been feeling? What thoughts have come up? Who have you talked to? So, literally, legit, I want you to pause this for a second and reflect on that. All right. Because that is going to be super important as I talk about what I'm about to talk about. All right. So, you're back. Great. So, now that you've had a chance to think about and reflect on what the last 2 weeks have been and how you are feeling right now, I want you to hold that in your mind as I talk about the energy of the moment, okay? And so I'm going to break this down into four themes of what's going on right now, how it feels, and the lessons and the observations that you can glean from the current astrology. All right. So, at the outset, I want to say that we are all individually and collectively undergoing an identity shift. And this is very much highlighted by the solar eclipse in Aquarius. Okay. Now, I could really go in depth in terms of the meaning of the eclipse and how Aquarius represents vision, right? Aquarius is actually associated with the cones of the eye. So it literally represents vision, vision of the future and a new system, but breaking free from the old one. Those are all very much important themes of Aquarius energy. But more importantly than that, it is literally an identity shift. And this is also thanks to the fact that Pluto is in Aquarius right now as well. So there is a whole bunch of transformation happening wherever Aquarius is in your natal chart. And it's one of those things where you kind of just have to observe and calibrate, observe and then recalibrate, because this transformation is a slow burn. This identity shift isn't something that's just happening during this eclipse window right now. This is something that's going to take place over the next 20 years or so. So strap in because it's going to be an interesting ride. Okay. But apart from that, this solar eclipse in Aquarius was really about dissolving old identity or old patterns, even old structures to make way for new ones. Okay. Now, what makes this even more interesting is that this is happening to us individually as people and collectively as a society. And it goes without saying that you're seeing this happen in real time in society, given everything that is going on. The one thing I'll say, and I'm not someone who likes to speak on political events or things like that. That ain't my lane, right? But I will say the fact that with everything that's going on, a royal, right? A former royal is actually sitting in jail when his brother is the king of England, right? That says something. It says something about the structure of society. It says something about what was tolerated in the past will no longer be tolerated in the future. And that's very much emblematic of Aquarius energy. Aquarius is like breaking free from old paradigms to form new ones. But the transition from old to new, it's crazy. It can be erratic. Remember, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. So this identity shift isn't just oh, I wake up one day and life is different. I'm feeling different. I sound different. This no, it can be a rough start. It can be a little jarring. It could be like starting a car and it backfires before it can actually move forward, right? Like it can be erratic. So this is why you have to practice patience, because you're not only undergoing an identity shift, but everyone else is too, right? And so that's also why you have to be observant, because you got to see where things in your life are changing, where the universe is giving you opportunities to dissolve an old identity in order to adopt a new one. Okay. Now, one of the things that could feel exceptionally jarring during this identity shift is that you're kind of left with, let me not say you're left with, I will say that there is this collapse of who you thought you were, right? Perhaps you had this vision of yourself, this vision of your life that you've had for a long time, that you're comfortable with, that you've been stable in. And this time right now, and I want you to think this is just happening at the eclipse. Mind you, the eclipse happened about a week ago at the time that I'm filming this, right? This is an ongoing identity shift, but the eclipse may have been that inflection point. It may have been an alarm that alerts you to the fact that I'm not who I thought I was, or this situation isn't what I thought it was. Now, of course, the specifics of this will always depend on where Aquarius is in your natal chart. However, there is this shattering of an illusion, right? I was this way, and perhaps I'm not this way anymore. The situation or this other person was this way, and perhaps now I know the truth. And it's like you can't unsee you can't unsee it once you've seen it. You can't bury your head in the sand and pretend like you don't see it, you don't understand it. Well, understanding is something entirely different, but you can't unsee it. And this is perhaps what's going to motivate your decisions and your actions moving into the future. And the shattering of that illusion, it can be painful. It can be painful, it can be jarring, it could be really surprising. It may come out of left field, or perhaps it's something that's been slowly brewing in the process, that's been running in the background, that is now at the forefront, and you have to face it. Okay. And so, again, that's why you need to practice patience and you need to observe. Because this may actually really be happening in real time right in front of you, but you may be turning a blind eye to it. You're not understanding, you're in denial. That's all part of the process. So have patience and grace with yourself because you're going to be learning through this identity shift. Trust and believe the universe is not going to not let you learn. Okay. But the shattering of the illusion, that is definitely how this time feels. And so you kind of just have to accept it and move forward with this new information. Anything that the universe has been showing you, process what you need to process emotionally, but ultimately use it as information to move forward. Okay. So that first theme is this theme of a shift in identity. So if you feel lost, if you feel like your purpose is cloudy, if you feel like you're not quite sure what the future holds, what you should be doing, that's okay because you are in the midst of changing. And you kind of got to let that process run before you can start running into the future. Okay. Now, at the same time as we're experiencing this shattering of the illusion of who we thought we were or what we thought the situation was, we're also undergoing this reality check and spiritual awakening. And that's the second theme of the energy right now. And this is thanks to Saturn and Neptune conjunct in Aries at 0 degrees. Saturn and Neptune have been traveling together in the sign of Pisces for quite some time. Okay, Saturn the last 2.5 years, Neptune the last 14 years. And with those two heavy hitter planets in Pisces, or when they were in Pisces, it was illusion, it was fog, it was this focus on your inner world, right? It was this height of spirituality. Uh, Astrology became so much more emphasized right now. People are all in therapy, and everyone's really attuned to their attachment style and their emotions and what's going on, which is beautiful. But the minute that Saturn and Neptune were conjunct in Aries at 0 degrees, meaning this zero, the very beginning, the initiation, I want you to think of that as like the Big Bang. This is birthing a whole new stratosphere. It's birthing a whole new landscape. And we're now, think of it as the alarm clock buzzing, going the fuck off, right? It's time to wake up. All of that inner work that you did, is time to walk that talk. It's time to take everything you've learned on the inside and use it on the outside. But more importantly than that, sort of feeding off of the other theme of, this shattering of the illusion of who you are, who you thought you were, Saturn and Neptune are also, they're just showing you real deal Holyfield in terms of everything going on around us. This is the time where we're seeing things for what they truly are. The rose colored glasses, the beer goggles, they are now fully off. We are awake and we really have to grapple with what reality really is in front of us. No more, I thought it was this. No more head in the sand. Saturn and Neptune are like, boom, it's go time. It's go time. This is what it is. Oh, that situation that you thought was nice, it's really not. That friendship that you had, that person is really treacherous. Or the situation is better than you thought. You thought it was death, doom, and destruction. It's showing you that, things are okay, right? Either way, it's a time when we are no longer disillusioned. It's a time when we are no longer asleep. Let's say that. And this is not only jarring, it's exhausting, right? Some of us feel like we don't have the energy to do anything because we are grappling with things as they are. And again, this is why you have to have patience and why you have to be observant and get some damn rest. Keep in mind, yes, the year of the fire horse has officially begun. We are in a number one numerological year. However, At least in the Northern Hemisphere, we are still in winter, baby. We still have a month before the real new year begins, before spring begins, right? And especially for my people in the Northeast who are literally under snow right now, you know better than most that we are still in the midst of winter. So things are going to be slower. Where our bodies have to catch up to the reality that we are facing right now. Some of us are having visceral reactions to this disillusionment, to this waking up. And you have to give yourself grace and the space to rest and recalibrate. Okay. And then speaking of recalibrating, we get to the third theme, which is recalibration, emotional and energetic detox. And this is thanks to our all-time favorite Mercury retrograde in Pisces. All right. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this I feel like this transit is sort of running in the background. It's not necessarily in your face. Okay. Mercury retrograde, things slow down. You have to be more intentional, right? But with Mercury going retrograde in Pisces, this is a great time to emotionally detox. In astrology, they like to call Pisces the dustpan of the zodiac because it's the last sign and it collects everything from Aries all the way on to Pisces. And so when Mercury is retrograde in Pisces, it's like, all right, what emotions are mine? What do I need to separate? And this is super important because given everything that's going on right now, many of us are carrying emotions that are not ours. There's collective fear. There's collective outrage. There's a lot of collective energy, a lot of collective emotions. And some of us have internalized those things. Some of us have absorbed them. Some of us are carrying these things. And Mercury retrograde is like, hold up, hunker down, get quiet, and realize, am I really outraged or am I just getting on the bandwagon? Do I need to handle this grief that I'm feeling, especially because now I see reality for what it is? Do I need to process my own grief and kind of close the door to what everyone else is doing right now? These are questions that Mercury retrograde is going to be asking of you. And Mercury is going to go retrograde on February 26th. So we're not quite there yet. It's in 2 days, but we're working our way up to that. And apart from just figuring out what emotions are yours and what's not yours, the other thing that you want to pay attention to is revisiting old emotional patterns. You know, Pisces energy can be quite karmic in the sense that it wants to close out a cycle. It wants to close out the loop. And it can be hard to close out that loop if you're still running the same program. And especially with the Aquarius eclipse and with Saturn and Neptune and Aries, there's a new program that is emerging. And so Mercury retrograde in Pisces allows you to close the old one. So it requires you to sequester yourself. It requires you to get quiet. It requires you to focus on your own paper, focus on your own lane. That can be difficult because there's a lot going on right now, and our energy can really be diverted. It could be disturbed. We could be distracted from a lot of all of that. But I will say this, you don't want to enter this new cycle with all of that because things are only going to get worse. This new program is here to stay. And this program is not necessarily a collective program. It's the new program that you're setting. It's a new program that the universe wants to establish with you, for you, right? It's being birthed right now, whether you realize it or not. And the best way to get with the program is to trash the old one. And that takes some work. And Mercury retrograde is going to allow you to do that work, right? And so then that brings us to our fourth theme, which is purification and realignment, which is the lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd. Okay. So the Virgo Pisces stories is coming to an end. And this story has been highlighted since the beginning of 2025. Now, Virgo loves to compartmentalize and to organize. And so I guess superficially speaking, wherever Virgo is in your natal chart, this is going to be a great time to wrap something up, to organize something in your life in this area may be coming to a culmination and it may be becoming clearer, more organized, more efficient, all of those things, right? It's also about habits. Now, this is super important and it builds on everything I've been talking about through the rest of this video. With all of these changes, with all of this reality in our face, with this emotional recalibration, with this new program that The universe is working with us to create. You need to form the right habits. And the lunar eclipse in Virgo is going to help you do that. It's going to highlight what's not really working. Virgo is the sign of perfection. And when you have something like a lunar eclipse in Virgo, that's the universe's way of showing you what's really not perfect, what really needs work, what really needs tinkering. And so some of your habits, things you do on a daily basis, perhaps thoughts you have regularly, how you provide service to others, that is going to be highlighted. And it's your time to understand what those habits are and make the necessary changes. And those changes should be in accordance with the new program, not the old one. All right. And that's really important because what is the saying in the Bible? You can't put new wine in old wineskins, right? That I feel like that's really the energy and the essence of this lunar eclipse in Virgo. So it's like you got to tighten up. You really have to set new habits, do some new things. And keep in mind, this doesn't have to be a complete overhaul. This really is about being better every day, changing at least 1% each day. You don't have to do the most. You just have to commit to improving a little bit every day. And this is definitely one of the premises of one of my favorite books, which is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Um, I've read this twice. I try to live my life this way because it's the habits that typically shape your life. If you want to change things, it's your habits typically that you change first that allow that change and that new program to come through. All right. So if you haven't read this book yet, please do because it's definitely helpful, especially in these times. All right. So those are the four themes. So again, it's this identity shift. So it's like you're in between worlds. Okay. And then we have this reality check plus this spiritual awakening thanks to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. Then we have emotional recalibration and detox with Mercury going retrograde in Pisces. And then finally, we are changing our habits, purifying, and how did I put this? Purifying and realigning with the lunar eclipse in Virgo. All right. So hopefully this all made sense. And hopefully you're able to understand what's going on and how it relates to you specifically. Now, if you really want to know what's going on and how all of this energy is working right now for you specifically, then you will want to sign up for my signature natal chart series, not series, my signature natal chart service, which is the blueprint. Okay. So this is not like any other natal chart reading. And I'm not saying that because, it sounds good. It's different because I have a different framework. So essentially, this is like three readings in one. It's your progressed natal chart reading, your natal chart reading, and a transit report. All right. And if you want to know more about that, book a clarity call with me so I can explain it all to you. But essentially, this reading lets you know what's going on with you right now, like what chapter you're in, how you're designed, and what's going on currently based on the transits. So it's really informative in terms of understanding not only who you are, but where you are right now. And as part of this service, I provide something which has been super duper helpful for me, not only in learning astrology, but living astrology. And it is this. This is a personal almanac by one of my favorite companies, the Honeycomb Collective. Now, I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I just love this thing to death. And basically, to understand astrology, you need to understand how your life sort of plays with what's going on in the sky at the time. And you can do that. This is a journal. It gives you all of the it gives you all of the astrological information. It gives you a space to write. And so you're able to track the transits based on what's actually going on in your life, as opposed to some sort of forecast or some generalized information. This is the best way to learn astrology. And as part of my blueprint service, you get one. So you get one from the Honeycomb Collective where you can start tracking astrology and we can even start tracking it together. So this service is everything that you need to not only learn astrology, but learn yourself and learn what chapter of life you're in right now. So if you're interested, I'll leave the link to book the blueprint Or if you need to talk it out a little more and you kind of want to know more about the service and how it best could work for you, I'll leave the link to the clarity call. It's a 15-minute free call where we can discuss this in depth and see if the service is even right for you. All right. So the links to all of that is in the description box below. All right. And if you like more of this content, like, comment, share, subscribe. If you want to sign up for my newsletter, the link will be there too, where I discuss a lot of these topics in depth, especially creativity and relationships. So there's a lot coming down the pike. All right. But in any event, my loves, I hope that this video was informative. I hope that this eclipse season and everything that's going on right now is good to you. Ultimately, it will be. It may feel like chaos in the moment, but trust and believe that whatever's transpiring right now is just helping to birth a new you and a new program. And Lord knows we need it. All right, my loves, thanks so much for tuning into this video. I'll see you in the next one. All right, my loves, take care.